Imagine this. You wake up one morning and everything's changed. Completely. You're
Yeah.
different. What happens when, just like that, your identity, how you function, your whole place in the world is just stripped away? That's the kind of chilling idea we're diving into today. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting informed, taking sources, and pulling out the key insights for you. Today, our mission is to unpack, well, a real masterpiece of literature. It's got this fantastical starting point, but wow, does it hit hard on the human condition.
That's right. We're exploring Franz Kafka's really seminal work, The Metamorphosis. And our source material gives us a great summary, looks at the big themes, and sort of explains why this novella, though short, is just so important for understanding Kafka, his style, his whole way of questioning existence.
Yeah, you're definitely in for a fascinating journey. We'll be touching on alienation, family duty, what it even means to be human when, your whole world gets flipped upside down. Okay, let's unpack this. So we start with Gregor Samsa. He's a traveling salesman. And one morning, he wakes up and finds he's turned into this strange, terrifying insect. Try to picture it. This heavy and segmented back, many legs. Even his voice is described as loud, like a lower species. It's jarring.
It really is, but what's truly fascinating, almost bizarre, is his first reaction. It's not, overwhelming panic about being a giant bug.
Well,
It's immediate worry. How's he going to get to work? How's he going to pay off the family debt? Just screams volumes about how deeply ingrained that sense of obligation was, how overwhelming his job had become. Makes you think, doesn't it? About the grip work and money can have on us.
absolutely. And then there's the family's reaction.
Yeah.
His mother, father, his sister greet.
Yeah.
The initial shock, the fear, it's palpable. And almost immediately, his room becomes this sealed-off space, an isolation chamber, really. They refuse to see him, even though the text says he's craving intimate, near-close contacts,
Yeah.
even in this new form.
And that's really the start of his deep psychological isolation, isn't it? It mirrors the physical change. His room gets cluttered, filled with old stuff, junk. It's like a symbol of him becoming detached from his human life.
Right.
Greet. She tries at first. She's the main caregiver, bringing him food.
And even that goes wrong.
Yeah, he finds the food disgusting. Spoiled leftovers, basically. His stomach turns. It's another layer of alienation, even from basic needs. And you see that initial spark of compassion from the family just fade. It starts to wane, and he becomes, as the summary puts it, a communal burden.
Yeah, a burden. And with Gregor unable to work, everything collapses financially. Suddenly, this family that depended on him is in crisis. The father has to get a job at a bank. Greet starts tutoring. The mother takes work as a maid. It's a complete reversal of roles.
It is. And if you step back and look at the bigger picture, it's paradoxical. Gregor's absence financially is catastrophic at first, but it also forces this new sense of independence and exhaustion onto the family. They have to fend for themselves now.
Right.
So in a strange way, they find a kind of liberation from relying solely on him. It's a tough, exhausting liberation, but it's there. They're forced to adapt.
Okay, but then things take a really dark turn, especially with Grady. This is where it gets particularly chilling for me. Her attitude just flips from concern, maybe pity, to outright resentment. She basically says that we have to make a decision now. This can't go on.
That line is brutal.
Yeah, she calls him a vision of ruin and damage to the house. She's actively pushing for them to get rid of him, to exclude him completely.
And the family goes along with it. They agree. That moment, it's the absolute low point for Gregor, emotionally. He's already physically weak. His insect body is literally decaying along with his health, his spirit.
And that detail about the burnt food.
Yes, one night he eats this burnt food. It feels almost like a final act of giving up, of self-negation. He just starts to die. The cause isn't specified. It's just fading away.
And when they find him the next morning, dead in his room, the family's reaction is so telling.
Quiet, calm. They're described as dissipated, totally drained. There's no big drama, just this quiet acceptance, almost relief.
Which leads to the next really powerful twist.
Yeah.
What does his death actually mean for them? It's unsettling, but his death brings this immense sense of real life, hope even,
Yeah.
freedom.
Exactly.
They immediately plan an outing, a trip to the countryside, and Grace especially seems transformed herself, vibrant, attractive. It's like a switch is flipped.
It's a really crucial symbolic moment.
Yeah.
Gregor, once the provider, the caretaker, became this unbearable weight. So his death, tragic as it is for him, clears the way for them. It opens up this new liberative path, as the source says. It's redemption and release for them, achieved through his demise.
Such a complex ending. So, okay, let's pull back. Beyond the shocking story itself, what are the big enduring themes here? Why does this novella still resonate so much.
Well, first and foremost, alienation and isolation, it's inescapable. Gregor's transformation is the ultimate physical separation, obviously. But Kafka masterfully shows how it becomes emotional and psychological, too, largely driven by the family's rejection. It wasn't just the bug body isolating him.
Right, the isolation deepens because of how they react, and that brings us to family itself.
Definitely. Family and duty. You have this stark contrast, right? Gregor's unwavering sense of duty, his financial support, versus the family's ultimate rejection when he can no longer fulfill that role. It forces you to ask uncomfortable questions about, well, where are the limits of family obligation? When does duty become burden? When does love or compassion just run out?
Heavy questions. And then there are those deep existential ones about who we are.
Exactly. Identity and humanity. Kafka throws this right at you. Is Gregor still human when he looks like an insect? Or was he already sort of dehumanized before the change? That whole man becoming insect versus maybe insect becoming man,
Yeah.
it challenges us to think about what defines humanity if it's not our physical form, or even our role in society, like being the breadwinner.
And tied into that is the commentary on work.
For sure, capitalism and work. Gregor's life before the transformation was already consumed by his job, by this debt. He was trapped. His insect form just makes that trap literal, physical. It highlights this monetary work bondage, as the source calls it, that leads straight to this crushing nuclear isolation. It's a pretty sharp critique of a system that can prioritize usefulness over personhood.
It really is.
Yeah.
And finally, woven through all this darkness is that strange thread of redemption and release.
Right. But it's the family's release, catalyzed by Gregor's death. It's unsettling, but it's a key part of the story's impact.
It's incredible how much is packed into such a short book. Deep philosophy alongside this bizarre narrative. So we've taken a pretty deep dive into the Metamorphosis today, explored Gregor Samsa's shocking transformation, its ripple effects on his family, his identity, that whole concept of duty. Hopefully you now have a really solid grasp of this unforgettable and frankly quite disturbing piece of literature.
Absolutely. And it's such a great entry point into Kafka's world, isn't it? That simple structure, but profound depth. It gives you a real feel for his unique style, that tone, and those persistent existential questions he keeps asking.
Okay, so as you mull over Gregor's story, here's a final thought to leave you with, something maybe a bit provocative. In what ways might we, or maybe people we know, sometimes become perceived as a burden? Maybe through circumstances we can't control, or perhaps even because of the very roles society expects us to play. And what kinds of transformations, maybe tragic, maybe strangely liberating, could those situations lead to? Not just for the person seen as the burden, but for everyone connected to them.
Yeah, that really brings up a crucial point, I think. How much do these societal expectations, our own sense of duty, actually shape who we think we are? And what happens? What are you fundamentally left with if those foundations just disappear overnight, inexplicably removed? What remains?
Lots to think about there. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep digging deeper with us into the fascinating world of knowledge.